the obvious one.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much if you tuned in. We are going to be playing Too Many Bones. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Mark.
And we are obviously Board Game Opinions. Too Many Bones is one of my all-time favourite games. I'm a huge fan of this one. Been playing it sort of ever since it went on Kickstarter. I backed it immediately. I've been playing it ever since. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think it's my number 3 game of all time. Mark, you're also quite keen on it, aren't you?
Yeah, I've played it a few times with you. It's been a little while since I've played it, but I really enjoy all the games of it. It's just I always say the character level thing's my favourite bit, and I think that's still the case.
Yes. So we're not going to try and explain too many rules off the bat. We're going to sort of jump in as best we can and kind of explain what we're doing as we go along. So without further ado, let me hit the transition button. Oh, yes. There we go. Right, let me just zoom out a bit. So, we're obviously playing on Tabletop Simulator. Well, not obviously, but we are. And it creates this nice 3D world. In fact, if I sort of zoom out here and look around, we're in a rather strange forest for some obscure reason. I don't know why. But the person who created this Too Many Bones mod stuck us in a forest.
Yes.
So, yes, isn't that nice? With the table floating in midair. But anyway, all our attention is going to be focused on the actual table. And we each take a character. So it's a kind of, I suppose a dungeon crawl is as close a genre as you're going to get with this. It's not quite a dungeon crawl. It's obviously very dice-based. You can see we've got lots and lots of dice all over the place. We've got these attack dice, and you can roll them and things. And notice, crucially, you've got I think I can I select the, oh, that's going to be hard. But there is a bone. Oh, there we go. These dice have got bones. There's a bone for you, look. So the reason it's called Too Many Bones is because a lot of these dice, in fact, pretty much all the dice, have got this bones side on it, which is effectively a miss. If you're attacking, these are the attack dice. Obviously, that would hit. And this would be a miss. If you're defending, then you're wanting the shields, and the bones would be a miss. So it's too many bones in the sense of, I've rolled too many bones, i.e. I've missed too much. They don't always have the same number of bones on. So the defense dice, for example, have got 2 bones on the sides, or you can just about see them there. Attack dice, I think, only have 1. But as well as those dice, you also have a ton of character dice. So each person takes a character. In this case, I am Gilly. It looks like this.
Tink.
It's a nice artwork. And yeah, let's have a Tink. Tink builds bots, little robots. And you can see here are Tink's dice. And here are my dice. Now, you don't roll these dice like you would do in a normal dungeon crawl. However, you kind of unlock them as your character levels up, and that's kind of what Mark was talking about earlier. And they get added to this character sheet. So all these little spaces here are for dice. And if you get a particular dice, you sort of take the dice and it drops, hopefully. Nope, missed. But it's meant to go... Come on, go in. It's meant to go in the little slot in the hole, but it seems to want to bounce out. Anyway. Maybe they wanted them to sit above or below. I don't know. It's a bit weird, that. Anyway, they are meant to sit in the holes. But you don't have access to any of these dice until you've, as I say, leveled up and unlocked them. Now, what are we trying to do? Well, there is some kind of mission. In this case, we are trying to defeat Nom, who is a troll. Trolls, as a species, are not so smart. Nom, the troll chieftain, is the Shalefist region. Is no exception. However, no one has ever felt the need to point that out to Nom due to obvious reasons like size differentials and thunderclubs. The thunderclub is his weapon. If I flip the card here, you can see he has a thunderclub ability at the bottom. It could also be that Nom loves to imprison those that anger him and then face off against his prey in a caged battle 1 by 1. Okay, so he is like the big boss that we're trying to defeat. Our race is Gearlocks, actually. They look sort of like pixies, I suppose, with the big L's. But yeah, we're called Gearlocks, and we start on this map in Obendar. This little tracker represents where we are. And we are going to be making our way through, following the white dots, trying to get to Shalefist, I think, up to here. Once we get to the red dot, when we get to face this guy. In terms of how you play the game, generally you have some kind of sort of episodic adventure. You should pick a card from this deck here. So there is a way of zooming in, isn't there? Is it that one? Oh, there we go. So yes, this is going to be our first. You can see there's some text there. We'll go through that in a second. But we're going to have some adventure, and then you sort of flip the card, and there are some choices to make. But ultimately, we're going to end up fighting on this battle map down here. So some locations will involve fighting, some won't. But when you fight, each character, you can see this is Tink, Mark's character, is represented by a chip. And there's a ton of these health chips that you stick underneath. So if I got my character and put it on here, in theory you can tell how much health I have by sort of counting the chips underneath. We're not quite sure how this is going to work, or if it's going to work so well in Tabletop Simulator, but the idea is that that's 1 health, so this would represent Gilly on 1 health. So if I grab another chip from there, I can probably, it's tricky to move around, but in theory I think, is it easy to tell? Oh dear, it plonks it on top. No, let's try. Well, that is a bit weird. But that's meant to be Gilly on top. I'll try it in a different position. So this is 2 health. I stick him on top, and for some reason he goes underneath. We might have to track the health via other means, but when you play the physical game, it's really obvious how this works. You can see by the height of the stack, just by looking at it, how much health each of the different characters have. And the bad guys are going to show up on here. They are also represented by chips. So you can see this is Nom's chip, and at some point he will show up on here. And you can see he has some special abilities. He has thick skin, and he can recover health and things. Nom, the Troll Chieftain. But we'll go through sort of details of how combat works and all the rest of it. But essentially, we are going to be trying to get up to here to fight him. Now, the game can take quite a long time. We don't think that we're going to play through the entire scenario tonight. We're going to have a couple of episodes, if you like, a couple of these encounters, have a couple of fights, show you what it's like if you've not seen it before, and then go from there. This is one of my favourite games for a bunch of different reasons, but as dungeon crawlers go, this one's quite heavy. There's a lot to think about. If you look at a particular character, you can see each of these dice has, not only is each dice sort of different, but each dice has a bunch of different sides as well. So if I take this one, for example, you can see there's like someone running, there's an eagle thing, and what else have we got here? That's a wolf thing. So each of these dice potentially have a bunch of different sides. And to help you keep track of it all, here is a reference sheet. So this shows you all the different dice for your character and all the different sides of all the different dice. So you can see the one I was just looking at, this command die, you can see lots and lots of different symbols on all the different sides. What do all the symbols mean? Well, that's what all these things down here are for. So you have a dice icon key that tells you what all the different things do. Then there is the other side of this, if you flip it over, which shows you effectively, this details how your character works. Yep. Gilly uses traps and also can summon companions, as they're called, like pets that fight for him, with him in combat. And how that all works is detailed here. So it's quite complicated. That's one of the only sort of downsides, I suppose, to the game, is the learning curve on this one is quite steep. But as I say, we're not going to go through all the rules. We're just going to sort of launch in and explain it as we go. Just to give you a rough overview, I'm a sort of hunter character, high DPS, but I also have a pet. I'm hoping to use the pet to do some tanking, because Gilly's not particularly hardy in that sense. Tink builds bots. Mark, do you want to explain roughly what kind of character yours is?
So yeah, it's more of a, I guess similar to your other pet. It's a bot character, but the main thing is obviously you're creating the build, the types of bots, like Spider Bot 1, Spider Bot 2, but then you also are limited to you have extra things you can put onto them, what they could accessorize your bot. But what the ones that you can activate are limited by the one that's in the build 1 or the build 2 line. So it's essentially on these where the arrow is pointing. And I guess when you get the better ones, you get areas that you can select, multiple ones. So if you go to like the center of my character, if I put the die in there, and it might point into armor plating and firing arm. But obviously, if I've got no firing arm, you're essentially limited by the directions of the arrows.
Yeah, okay, so there's sort of a, not quite resource management, but spatial planning thing that goes on with this particular character.
So I need to really fill plenty of them to increase my chances of having 2 abilities.
So, yeah, we've both picked characters that have sort of mini pet bot characters to help with the tanking and fighting, because otherwise just playing only 2 can be a little tricky. But Gilly is OP. I'll tell you now, he's one of my favourite characters. He's very strong. So anyway, we'll get going, as I say, and hopefully it'll become clear. If you've played it before, then you should be very familiar with this. But if you've not, as I say, we'll try and explain roughly how it works, and you can kind of get a flavour, a feel for how the game works and what you're doing. So to begin with then, as I say, we start in Obendar, and each round, if you like, consists of having an adventure. So the first adventure here, if I let's pull that one off the deck, and we can look at it. There we go. So we're leaving Obendar. Only 12 hours till dawn, and the send-off ceremony that will no doubt change the lives of every remaining Gearlock, and likely every life in Daylor. Weapons and supplies are ready to go, but the night is young, and adrenaline fills the veins. It's clear, no sleep will be had tonight. There's sure to be some shady peddlers in dark alleys, ready to deal in loot. Then again, some last-minute training could pay a nice dividend by morning. So, what to do? What to do? And we flip the card. So, essentially on the card here, in fact, it's probably easier if I zoom in, you've got two options, okay? So, there's the top option and the bottom option. And the top option does, like, each one does different things. So, we could squeeze in some last-minute self-improvement where we get 2 training points. This symbol here represents a training point. Or we can shake down a shady peddler, which gets us a training point anyway, but also gets us loot. So you can see, gain a training point, and then each party member can draw 2 loot. There's a big stack of loot cards here. There we go. If I just give you one as an example, this is a gadget arm, and it'll have certain uses, and you can apply it to your character and things. But usually, I don't know how you feel, Mark, but we tend to go for the training points. Yeah. The leveling up is the fun part of this game. Incidentally, we will also, at the bottom left here, get 1 progress. So first of all, we do this. We're going to go for the 2 training points. So Mark and I now look at our sort of grid, and you can unlock, as I say, 2 things. Now, I'll show you on my grid while Mark's thinking about his. But essentially, you can either try and upgrade your health, attack, dexterity, and defense, or get one of the skill dice, I think they're called, which will go in the slots here. So, for example, my character starts having 4 health, but if I want to add 1 to my health, I would take this die here, slot it in the hole if it goes in, and that is weird because these. Oh, I wonder, Mark, if it's because we moved. Is it because we moved the?
Possibly.
Ah, we moved them. That might be why. Well, that kind of goes in the right place. If I change it to 1, no, I got it in. There we go. So this would represent me having 5 health. Now, obviously you can increase attack. Your attack stat is how many attack dice you roll when you're attacking. Defense is obviously how many defense dice you get to roll. And dex is a very important stat, and essentially lets you how many dice you can roll when it's your go. So even though you may have your attack stat at 5 or something, in theory you could roll 5 attack dice. If your dex is only at 3, then you cannot roll more than 3 dice. So this limits how many dice you can roll in total. So anyway, let me put that one back. What I think I want to do, in fact, if you're new to this, it's very helpful on the character sheet, is a kind of beginner build strat. And the first recommendation it says at the top here is, Gilly needs at least 1 defense to start off with. That is very good at dice because he has no defense at all. So I'm going to start off by trying to upgrade my defense. Now, attack and defense, you can't just automatically upgrade one of those. You have to effectively roll the die. So I'm going to take a defense dice, and I'm going to zoom out. There we go. So you can shake it a bit, roll it, and I got bones. So that'll be a failure. With defense dice, you're allowed to roll it twice if you fail the first time. So I'm going to try again. Shake it, roll it. Oh, where's it gone? And that was not a bone. So hooray, I've managed to upgrade my defense. And I take this. Will it drop in? Well, it's close. Rotation of 1. There we go. And it almost fell in. Can I get it to drop in? Yeah. Probably best not to mess with that too much. I'm going to leave that on 1 like that. So my defense is now nothing plus 1, so I've got 1 defense. I then get to add something else, and what I really want is a pet. Now, there are 3 types of pet here, and for us, I would recommend the Wolverine. The Wolverine pet allows you to, this Wolverine here, it gives you a few sides that have different stats for the Wolverine. You kind of roll it when you enter combat. But the main thing about the Wolverine is it has a special ability, which down here, the Wolverine is hardy. Now, what does hardy mean? Well, there are lots of these. You can see the Tiger has lashback, the Falcon has flight. What do all these special abilities mean? There is a big sheet here for all the various terms. So hardy, if we find this one here, you can see any turn this unit takes damage, so its hit points, the total is reduced to 1. So even if this Wolverine takes 10 damage, it would only actually take 1 damage. So that means it's very good at tanking. So I'm also going to take the Wolverine die. So I find the die, it's number 15 here. The dice are numbered, that's 15, and I grab it. And in theory, I plonk it in the slot. I think these are not going to quite go in the right place. I could change the value maybe. There we go, that's one of the Wolverine sides. And you can see it has stats. So health is at the bottom left, its attack is bottom right, and you have to pay dex to keep the Wolverine going each round. I'll explain that as we come to it. So that was my upgrade. I got a defense and a Wolverine. Mark, what did you go for?
I'm going to go for a health, because it advises me to get health. I think it affects the health of the bot as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, I guess if you've gone for a defensive one, shall I go for an aggressive one? So I'll go for firing arm.
Sure.
Unless you would advise otherwise. But
no, so firing arm. So in order to work out what these things do, see firing arm has this like gun symbol, and you go to the left, you find the gun, and it says it deals so much damage to a non-adjacent baddie. So if you roll the 2 side, it would do 2 damage, and it's ranged. That's great, so you'd be able to attack someone that you're not next to. So that seems pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the encounter. We got the training points, but we get 1 progress. So we move out of Obendar to the first spot there. The card goes away onto a discard pile. Let me move Nom out of the way. We'll make a discard pile there. And then at the end of the day, there's a little end of day thing, which I think is summarized up here. So if we had loot, we could trade it between ourselves. We don't. If we had some trove loot, now that's the sort of super fancy loot. This stuff is hard to get and always comes locked, and you have to make like a lock-picking mini-game attempt. But we don't have any of that either, so we won't be making a lock-picking attempt. But then you get to do individual options. You can recover, you can heal your hit points up to full. After a battle, you're nearly always going to do that.
Yeah. You
can search for better loot. If you already got some loot and you don't like it, you can discard it and try and get some better stuff. But what you often end up doing if you're at full health is scouting the area. Now, Gilly has a special ability which lets him... Where's his special ability? Innate. Here we go. He can scout anyway. So before battle, I can reveal a baddie in its active stack and cycle it to the bottom if I don't like it. Okay. But I will get to do this as well. So I will now attempt to scout the area. I'm going to roll a d6. And depending on what I roll, I can look at the baddies that are coming up. Now, baddies basically get grouped into 3 stacks. You've got 1-point baddies, which are the easy ones. 5 points are the medium ones. And the 20-point ones are the super hard ones. And I'll explain how you build a battle queue in a minute. But at this point, I take the d6. Here it is. I should give it a shake and roll it. And I got 3. So 3, according to the chart, 1 to 3, I can reveal a 1-point baddie, which is fine because that's probably what we're going to be facing. So I sort of pick up the top one, flip it over, and we have a look. And it's a dragon whelp, like a baby dragon. You can see it has 2 health. 5 is the initiative, so a higher number there means how early it goes. This will be going quite early. This bit's quite important at the bottom left. It's ranged, so they can be hard to hit sometimes if they're ranged. This just tells you what kind of creature it is. This is dragons, sort of. And then it will have 2 attack and 1 defense. So I don't know what you think of that one, Mark. Now it has a special ability as well. Right. Weaken. Weaken is a real pain.
Okay.
Weaken removes your dex for the next turn. So
it slows you down.
Yeah, it makes it harder for you to roll dice. It's not very tough though. So given that we've both got ranged combat, I think we'll end up being fine with the dragon, so I'd be inclined to leave it there. If we didn't like it, we could stick it on the bottom of the stack. But if you're happy, Mark, I could stick it back on the top. In fact, let me move it off slightly. We'll probably say that this will be our active. In fact, no, I'll put them here. These are the ones that are coming next. That'll be make most sense. So, Mark, do you want to scout?
Yeah, I'll do the same. So I'm just going to roll this dice. I will roll. And I get a 4.
So that lets you scout a 5-point or a 1-point baddie. It's up to you.
What's the number of points we fight in the first?
So to work out how many points, you take the day that you're on. This is the day counter here.
Yeah.
So at the end of this day, we'll move it on to 2. So if we end up doing a fight on the next day, the current day will be 2. And you multiply that by the number of party members. So it scales with the number of people in your party. So 2 times 2 will be 4. So we'll be getting 4 points worth of baddies, which means 5 would be too much. So we'd end up with 4 1s. Yeah. So although you could look at a 5, we wouldn't be facing a 5 for like immediately. I think
I might just do a 1 then for the moment. That's what we'll be seeing.
Sure.
Okay. It's a orc peon.
So not too much health.
No.
Does not hit very hard at all, which is fine, except for the rage. What does that do?
If this unit is not at full HP, it gains 1. Well, in this case, 1 additional attack die.
Yes. So the number, the hash mark here, is the number on the rage. So rage 1 means once you've done some damage to it, it's then going to be attacking for 2 instead of 1. I think that's fine, personally.
Yeah. So that goes above or below the...
in theory, yeah, it goes underneath the little dragon thing.
No, it doesn't.
They'll be fine there. So we'd be pulling the dragon off first, and then the other one, and then we'll pull the rest from the stack. So that's the end of the first day.
Yep.
Good then. Hi, Steve, by the way, is watching. Steve Rain's not playing. I suspect he'll be on Board Game Arena tonight, actually. And yes, it is as heavy as it seems. But that's also why it's so good. All right. So that was our first day. Hooray. So the day tracker, we can move on to...
Oh, this will be fun.
No, hang on. I've set mine to 15 degrees.
Okay.
You think you do
Let's
that?
See if your maths is good.
There we go. Look at that. So now we're on day 2. There's a little marker at the top that shows you which day you're on. And we read the next encounter card. So, hardly out of the gate. 15 steps into the journey. 15 steps! And already a gearlock boot is struck through by an arrow. Luckily, no toes were killed. Teeth are clenched and a painful tug is made while looking around in embarrassment. Yow! Now, sufficiently ticked, it's time to return the favour to the ominous figures at the edge of the woods. A commotion breaks out atop the city wall, interrupting all thoughts. Guards have now spotted the brazen intruders and are notching their arrows. Their help is at the ready. Like it or not, this adventure is underway. So we seem to have encountered some baddies. If I pull this off and flip it over, we have some choices. So we can hail the guards for help. So at the start of each round, arrows from the wall will deal 1 true damage, which ignores defense. So it's guaranteed damage to each baddie. So that's our first option. We can do that. It says recommended for first-time adventurers because that 1 true damage every round is really, really helpful. However, if we do, let me zoom in this way, if we do the second option, it's time to show Open Door what gearlocks are made of, then we're going to get a training point. So although this makes the fight much easier, we don't get a training point. If we do it this way, we're going to get the extra training point. Now, we're guaranteed if we succeed and beat them to get the stuff at the bottom. So that's a training point and a loot. So if we pick this option, we'll get 2 training points and a loot, and we'll get progress on our journey. With Open Door watching, you feel an extra shot of adrenaline as you prepare for an unassisted battle. So what do you think, Mark? Can we take them on our own?
Yeah, we go for the training point always, because we're going to need it by later.
Yeah. So we're picking option 2. So now we have a fight. This symbol on the right here means it's a fight. So you start off by building your stack, as it were, although we tend to just pull them off. We're going to have 4 points. Yeah, the day is 2. There's 2 players. 2 times 2 is 4. So we pull the dragon off first, and the dragon is going to go in the number 1 lane. So there's 4 lanes here. This is the first lane. This is the second one. 3 is here. You can see the numbers there. And this is 4. So we take the 1 chip and the 1 counter here. If I can get it to sit on there. There we go. And we need to take the right amount of health. This has got 2 health. So I think I had 2 health here.
I may have stolen one of them.
Or is that just 1? I think that is hard to tell on here.
If you do them off the battle mat, then it will just go on top.
Okay, so then I would do that one.
If you do them off the battle mat, though, it's easier.
Oh, I see. Like not on here.
Yeah, they seem to work fine if you do it. If you just don't. So you do that.
Then that one.
Yeah. Then that one.
Oh, it didn't work.
No.
Maybe I picked it. Where did you do it? Try it in your magic slot.
I was just trying to do it over here, but it's like, so what that needs to go.
The 2 health first, I normally do. Then the marker that tells you which lane it starts in.
Maybe I don't have them lined up.
And then that one. We're probably going to end up with slightly wonky stacks here, but that's probably better than not having them on top. Okay, that looks fine.
And then that's going.
And it goes in the number 1 lane, and because it's a ranged baddie, it's going to go on the bow and arrow at the back there. You can see the little range symbol here matches the range there. So that's the first one.
Yep.
Then we take the 2-1. We're going to take this orc here. He's got 3 health, so lost a bit of health here. Ooh, let's try and put that. In fact, I tell you what, Mark, if you do that, you do the health of these, you play around with that, and I'll pull the next one off. So our third one is going to be a Kobold Green Thumb. He is hardy, like my Wolverine, which means that he's hard to kill because even if you do like several, like 4 or 5 damage, he's only actually going to take 1 point damage. Doesn't hit very hard though, so that's okay. So Mark, if you could load that one up for us, I'll pull up the next one. The last one we're going to fight then is another orc. This is an orc grunt this time. Now, this one's a bit more tough, and he's got defense, so he's going to be quite tough. Raiding. Now, raiding, if we look at this one, it says he gets 1 extra attack die for every additional orc on the battle mat. Now, that's not good for us because we do have an orc. This orc peon here means that this guy has 2 attack. So he's probably the toughest because he has the most health and he has defense and he's hitting for 2. Although, obviously, if we kill the peon first, this guy doesn't hit as hard after that one. So that'll be our last one. Now, while Mark's trying to position them in the right place, they also have an order for initiative, okay? And the stuff on the right here tells you what order they go in. So at the top, this die just tracks the round. And in terms of initiative, the Dragon Whelp is almost certainly going to go first, and that he has 5. So I find the blue one here, if you like, and that's going to turn to, to 5, rotation 5. We don't quite know the order yet, but he's almost certainly going to be first. Purple is on 3, so I set this one to 3. Yellow, the Kobold Green Thumb, is on 4 initiative on the left there. Rotation 4. So in fact, he's definitely going to go above that one. And finally, the Orc Grunt is going to be 2. So the one blessing of the Orc Grunt is that he is slow to act. He's almost certainly going to go last. Now, where do we go in all this order? Well, we have our own dice. So Gilly here has a die. And I have values, if I just give it a little roll here, 5s, 5s, 6s, there's a 6. Mine, I'm pretty good at going first, generally. So anyway, let's do this for real now. Oops, if I zoom back, give mine a shake, roll it, and we get, oh my goodness, 3. I think there's only 1 3 on the dice. It's by far the lowest value. That is a terrible roll, but that means I need to, I think you can, how do you rotate these again? Oh, no. 3, there we go.
Do you go before or after?
So, yeah, generally you always want to go first. So that will drop down and I'll go here. Mark got a 4. So he'll go above this 4 here. So the order of turns, if you like, is first of all the blue dragon, then Mark, or Tink, then the Orc Grunt, then me, then the Orc Peon, and then, oh no, hang on, I've got them wrong. It's because my colours are not so great. That's green, isn't it? The Kobold goes after Mark, and the Orc Grunt is going to go last. So that is going to be the order.
Okay.
And that won't change. We'll just keep cycling through this order as we go through the fight. So that's not the best, but it could be worse. Right, then we have to decide where to go. Now, each character is either ranged or melee, and you can see my character here, Gilly, is a ranged character. So I'm going to take my health of 4. Grab 1, 2,
So I should have started
3,
with a spider bot.
4 health. And stick Gilly on the top. And then I'm going to take my stack, and I can stick it on any of the range spots. You see there are range spots along here. So I could go in that corner there. If you're ranged, you can hit anything on the battle map. It doesn't really matter where you are. So you just want to be as far away from everything as you possibly can be. Not quite sure where Mark will go. He might go for the opposite corner. We'll see.
So I need to roll these 2 dice. Actually, no, does the spider bot just stay at?
Yeah, so for the start of combat,
yeah,
you roll the 6 die.
Yeah, let's give that a roll them.
And stick it in the slot. And you can orientate it any way you like. So Mark's got the firing arm, so he wants one of the arrows to point at the firing arm. Otherwise, the firing arm will not work.
That's not done what I hoped it was going to do.
Yeah, so I'll leave Mark to play with that. And then potentially he's going to be able to get his spider bot on. His sheet will give you instructions as to how he gets the bot on. A key feature here is the battery power it talks about. But hopefully Mark can figure that out.
You actually rotate a dice when it's...
yeah, and I found that as well. It's a little bit tricky. If you hover over it and press the Q and E, it spins it backwards and forwards between the different numbers. But that also orientates it the correct way round for you. That might be the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to roll Dex, and then I can spend Dex to get a companion on the map. Just having a look at how this works. Yeah, so, okay, adjacent or diagonal. So I can stick it next to him with a certain number of hit points. Yeah, okay, that's fairly straightforward. So, Mark, you just have to decide where you're going to go.
I need to get 4 health, don't I? 1, 2.
One thing about pets is they don't start on the battle mat immediately, which means if you're hoping they're going to tank for you and one of the baddies gets a turn before you, they're just going to beat on you, particularly if it's ranged. And this guy's rolling 2 attack dice.
Okay.
Mark, do you want to roll for this first bad guy? So Blue, the dragon, he's going to roll 2 attack and 1 defense. So Mark kind of grabs the dice he needs from the pool.
Is it one of those and 2 of these?
That's right. You can kind of group them together on this, give them a shake, and then roll them. Okay, well that's not the worst roll. So he's got 1 attack. This bone is a miss. Some of them have abilities that are triggered by bones, but he doesn't. The 2 defense will just sit on top of him and add to his defense. So I should say, who does he target? Well, he targets, in this case, this strongman picture here means he will go for the person with the most health. Now, this is partly why Mark chose to get the extra health here, because we've now got 4 health each, which means we can choose, because it's a tie, who is going to take the damage there. So let me just try this. If I flip that there and flip it back, yeah, that puts it the right way around. So who should take the damage? Not sure it matters too much at this stage.
No, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure it does.
So I will happily take the damage.
Okay.
So I remove 1 health chip. Now I only have 3 health. And he also does weaken, which might be more of a consideration, actually. Having said that, maybe you should have taken the damage because you've got 4 dex.
More dex.
And I've only got 3.
Yeah, fair enough. So I'll take the damage instead.
Let's change our minds on that one. All right, so the weaken, you see, means, if we go back to this, he has to reduce his dex by 1 for the next turn. So Mark will only get to roll 3 dice instead of 4 dice, but that should be okay for him.
Yeah.
I really want to be able to roll 3 dice because I want to use my pet. So next up is Mark.
So I want to roll obviously I want to build my robot, my spider bot. So that's one of my dice, I guess, and then
who should we kill first?
yeah, that's the Probably the which one? One of them gains extra damage.
Yeah, this big one has an extra attack die because the little one is on the map. If we burn down the little one first, which is probably quite easy for us to do, then this guy doesn't hit as hard.
That seems like to be the most sensible thing to do.
All right.
But I am. I'm trying to think how much damage am I taking. I'm certainly going to take a defense dice because I don't want to die.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Would you then advise a second defense dice, or would you advise actually doing a damp?
I think you've only got one defense at the moment, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, so I may limited.
So you can't roll more than one.
So it'll just be a defense and attack then.
Yes. I think you are. When you do your basic attack, I think it is melee.
So I'll have to move to attack.
Yes. Your character, it says melee ranged, which means you get to start in either position. But if you're just rolling attack dice, you see this, the firing arm that you've got is a range skill that your bot can use.
But my bot isn't.
But you yourself, you don't have a bow and arrow like me.
No.
You have to actually hit them. So you could have actually, if you wanted to, started next to the orc peon.
Well, yeah, it isn't cheating because it doesn't really it's made no difference.
Yeah. Because you have to spend a dex for every space you move on the battle map.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can't move diagonally, so moving is quite tricky. You can always stick your bot on the other side next to the orc grunt, and then that should take the beating from that when he finally has a go.
Okay, so roll the dice. So I get a bone, which isn't great, but not much you can...
Yeah, now every time you roll a bone, it goes in your backup plan. They're probably not going to sit in there because they're where we put them at.
No.
That'll do. But as you acquire these bones, you can spend them for special abilities. So this self-destruct or hammer time, you can use it. In this case, Mark can make his bot do various fancy things.
Again, one damage, one attack.
So that one you just sort of spend immediately.
Yeah. So that just does a single damage to the orc.
Yep. This is much easier actually in real life because you pick up the whole stack, pull the one off the bottom usually, and that makes it easy. Okay, so he's down to 2 health. You can see if I hover there, 2 health.
Okay, so my bot is a 4 health.
Well, that's good. That's lots of health.
Is that how it means? Let me check all the...
Yeah, so you take 4 chips and stick it underneath it, and it goes on the battle map next to you.
So, yeah. So it can use 2 accessories. It's got... What do the spanners mean?
That's like the battery power.
Okay.
So at the top left, that's kind of how many turns it gets before the battery runs out.
But I can spend stuff to increase the battery.
Yes.
Spend the dex, is it?
Some of your dice, I think, will add batteries. Yeah, once per turn, you can spend 1 dex to increase the bot's battery power by 1.
Okay.
And after it's had its turn, you sort of drop it. Oh, no, hang on. Sorry, that's not right. The spanner is the number of attachments it can have.
Okay.
The teal number on the die, the sort of light blue number, is... That's the attack at the bottom right. The battery power is it says the teal number facing up.
Is it...
Oh, the battery power...
Is it 4, actually, in this case? Is it teal if it... Is it just the...
Oh, is that supposed to be teal?
I don't think it's teal on these dice, but I think...
That looks white.
If you look at the bot base at the bottom, it suggests that...
Yeah, okay. That's sort of...
Teal ones, it's just a big number.
Yeah.
So that means... Oh, well, anyway, back to where was I? There's the dice. So it's got 4 health. It's got 4 turns then. It's got 1 attack and 2 accessories.
I think you got the best, one of the best sides on that one.
Do you just put the dice on top of it and take it? There's
Yeah,
no,
if we...
no chip for it.
I think these are meant to be the teal numbers at the top right. This one kind of is teal, but the other ones don't seem to be. So yes, effectively each turn that number is going to tick down, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the extra bot. Yeah, so each turn that ticks down to show that it's losing battery power.
Yeah.
And then after your go, the bot gets a go, I think.
Okay, so the bot can now attack. That has got ranged. So my bot has... Do I not need... Is it not... Would I not, though, need to spend Dex to be able to activate the bot? To attack... To move cost Dex, to attack cost nothing.
Yeah, so you decrease the bot's battery power by 1 when you use it.
Yeah. So I click on that. Oh, and it... So yeah, I've decreased it by 1. And then I roll the...
Yeah, so it automatically does its attack stat. You don't have to roll dice to an adjacent baddie. But if you want to use an attachment, you have to spend Dex to roll them.
I haven't made Dex, so I'm unable to do that.
Yeah, but he can just do 1 damage to something next to him.
Do you think you'll be able to kill the...
he can't attack diagonally. It has to be orthogonal for adjacency. But the benefit of attacking this Orc Grunt now is that he, in theory, will have defense when he has his turn because he'll be rolling defense dice. But right now, he doesn't have any because he hasn't had his go yet. So that's great. So he is down to 3 health.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Mark's go. He did lots. Now it's yellow. Yellow is the kobold over here. This guy is melee. Now, they, in general, will always move and attack the closest, and they always move 2 spaces, and they can't move diagonally. So this guy is going to come and attack me. I am the closest unit. Yeah, it'd be 1, 2 to get to Mark, but only 1 space to get to me. So if we drag those and put them there. And if he was next to more than 1 character at this point, he would attack the person with the most hit points. But that's only me, so he's going to attack me. And he rolls 1 attack die. Do you want to roll an attack die for the kobold, Mark?
Yeah. So if I grab this one there. I'll actually roll it.
I'll take that. He got a bone. So there were no abilities triggered by bones, so he does no damage to me. Hooray! All right, it's my go. So what do I want to do? Well, first of all, you assemble your dice. So I've got 3 decks. So I'm definitely going to want to roll my Wolverine die. And I got this defense for a reason. I probably want to roll a defense die. And then for my final dice, I can attack the person next to me. And that would be my 3 dice. So if I give these a bit of a shake, roll them over here. Well, that's not terrible. I got 2 defense, which is the best you can get on a defense die. So that's, let me just pick one of them up. Defense goes in these slots up here. These are like your active slots. So that means I've got 2 defense. Maybe I could put it on top. There we go. That'll do. And then I managed to get the Wolverine. Let me see, because you can get a bone on here, and the Wolverine sort of doesn't come out to play. I got the 3 health and 1 attack. Let me just see if I can flip that round. There we go. 3 health, 1 attack. So that's fine. Let me grab the 3 health. So 1, 2, 3 health. Stick the die on top. Grab him and stick him on the mat. Now I want him to attack something. He can go... Oops, I've pulled out one of the... let's put those on there again. He does not want to drop. That'll do. Right, let me try and put this in a slightly... Some of these places have got like locked positions on, which is why they go a bit funny. There we go, that works. So now... Oh, and it just took that one. I think he doesn't like having the dice on top of the health chips for some reason. Oh no, it's pulling them out one by one. Anyway, I'm going to stick it on this slot so that he can immediately attack the one next to me. And it's turned him backwards. There we go. All right, so he's only going to do 1 damage, but he tanks very well. So that was... Oh, my final thing is a bone. I'm going to stick that in my backup plan. Let's put it at the top. Yeah, so this is 1 bone. So now I could spend this if I wanted to do switch targets, but I'm going to save this. There are some kind of better abilities up here. So I didn't actually do any damage, but now it's my pet's turn. And my pet can attack and do 1 damage. Now, I don't know what we think. We're not going to get another go, are we? And this, the pet can't do more than 1 damage. So he's not going to be able to take out this Orc Peon. So the pet is actually going to try and take out this Kobold Green Thumb because you can't do more than 1 damage to the Green Thumb every turn anyway.
Yeah.
So it's worth, if you can only do 1, it's worth hitting the Green Thumb. So I wonder if I can... No, that just takes the whole stack. Mark, do you fancy removing health off that one? I'll leave Mark to do that. All right, so then after my turn, it's purple, which is the Orc Peon here. He is melee, and he is already adjacent to Mark, so he will not move. He will just attack the person he's next to. If there was 2 people he was next to, he would go for the weakest. That's what that symbol is there. So he just rolls 1 die, so I'll perhaps roll to attack Mark, shall I?
Yeah, you can.
You can roll to attack me, and I'll roll to attack you. So it's a miss. Hooray. So no bones abilities there, so Mark doesn't take any damage at all. And then it's Green's go. The grunt up here. He is also melee, so he is going to attack the spider bot. So he rolls 1 attack and 1 defense. So if I grab a defense and we roll both of these, he did not get any defense. That is good, and only did 1 damage, which is also good. So Mark will then remove 1 health from his spider bot, and that's the end of the round. Now, I realise there was a lot happening there, but pretty much you've seen the entire game now. You do, as I say, these encounters, you make some choices, and then after a while you're going to end up doing a fight. And every round of the game in terms of fighting, we're going to proceed through that order. So we now move to round 2, and we're going to go through the same order again. Each of the different things are going to fight and attack, and obviously the objective here is for us to try and kill all the bad guys and survive the fight. Otherwise, we're going to look bad in front of the guards shooting from Obendar, who aren't helping. We're like, no, we don't need any help.
I still think we'll do it.
Let's see if we can manage this. So, blue. Blue is the dragon. The dragon does not need to be anybody. He goes for the strongest target. I have got 4 health. Mark's got 3.
3.
Wolverine's got 3. And Spiderbot's got 3. So I am the strongest, which means he's going to remove 1 health from me. And unfortunately, he's going to weaken me as well. So on my next turn, I'm only going to have 2 decks, not 1 dex. Sorry, not 3. Incidentally, there is a weakened die. I think it's the... Is it the hand? It's been a while now, but I think you put the hand here and it just kind of lets you know that you're weakened, so you get 1 dex less to spend. I'll perhaps stick that next to my dex spot here to remind me. All right, so that was his go. Then it's Mark.
Okay, so I have 4 decks to spend.
Lots.
I don't think I'm going to move very far. I think I'm going to certainly have an attack dice. I'm limited to 1 attack. I'm limited to 1 defense as well, so I might as well do that. I might as well use my firing arm.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't. I've got a spare deck, so I might as well increase the power on my bot back up to 4.
The dragon. Well, did we roll 2 attack dice for him?
Last turn. Yeah, I did get a miss and a hit or something like that.
Oh, that was right. It was 1 damage, wasn't it? Okay, fine. Yeah. Incidentally, he's got a defense on here. He doesn't roll the defense if he's already got the defense on him. So that's why we weren't rolling defense.
So, as I've got 1 dex to spend and I have nothing to spend it on as such, I'm just going to increase the power of my bot back up to 4.
Oh, so I think you can only do that when it's in the prep area.
Okay.
So the idea is you kind of prep your bot, stick it in the prep area, and then you can spend Dex to increase the battery power. But once you deploy it onto the map, then it's kind of set. So you can tick it up and power it up, but actually you rolled really well at the start anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine.
Is there anything else you can spend spare Dex on, or is that?
In theory, you could move, but that's probably not going to help you in this situation.
No. Okay, so I will then. I'm going to roll these dice.
What's he got?
So another bone. Not getting much defense. Oh dear. Oh well.
I'll sort that out.
In a bit. So that does.
Top.
Is that actually does 2 damage? The gun.
It does, and it's range damage, so you can do it to any target on the battle mat.
Well, that's an interesting. But I might as well use my. Ooh. It's difficult. I can kill the peon.
You can.
But then I don't get to attack it with my singles.
Yeah, I'm wondering about attacking the Orc Grunt because he's got no health again.
Yeah, seems worth it.
I know you're next to it, but... Oh, I'll tell you what, one thing we forgot.
Yeah.
Is this guy should have rolled 2 attack dice, shouldn't he?
Oh, because...
Because of the other one. I'm sure we forgot that. Let me just roll 1 more attack dice now.
Yeah.
Because we should have rolled... He was attacking your bot, I think. And got 1 extra damage. So yeah, we will have to remove an extra health from the bot. It's easy to forget little things like that when you play in this game because there's a lot going on.
So
right.
I'll do 2 damage to that with the bot.
Great.
1, 2.
So he's only got 1 health left. In fact, the bot should be able to kill him this round. That would be great.
And I'll do 1 point of damage to that thing.
Yep. Hopefully, Wolverine can finish that one off.
And so then my bot can just attack for 1.
Have you done your... Oh, you did your 1 attack you've just done, haven't you? Yes, so that's right. So now it's the bot's turn, and he can do 1 damage, and he kills it.
Oh, no, not that one.
Hooray.
Yes.
Now, we don't get anything as such for killing it. It's just removed, that's right. The battery ticks down. Yeah, it is this top right number.
Yeah.
So that's now down on 2. That's one interesting thing about Too Many Bones generally. A lot of these dice are used as counters. Like this just tracks how much defense you've got, if you like. It doesn't, you don't ever roll this die. All right, great. We've killed that one. Yep. So now after... Oh, in fact, that was green. So green gets removed from the order. He's not going to get a go anymore. And it's yellow. Yellow's next to me and Wolverine. He's melee. He goes for the strongest one. Wolverine's on 3. I'm on 3. So we get to choose who he goes for. Now, I think Wolverine's a tank. He's meant to be taking the damage. So I'm going to take a point of health off Wolverine. There we go. All right, so that was his go.
Yep.
Next up is me.
Yep.
Now, Pet always goes second, so I am ranged, so I can hit anything I like. I'm just thinking maybe I should shoot the peon. I've only got 2 decks because I'm weakened. I don't really want to... Oh, I forgot my defense dice. Didn't I get hit by the...
You got hit by something.
The dragon. I got hit by the dragon. So actually, I shouldn't have lost a health.
No, but you should now have taken the damage from the hardy creature. So Wolverine be back on.
No. It was... Yeah, let's put this back. So I should be on 4 health. Yeah, all right. So when the dragon hit me at the start of the round, that should have knocked my 2 down to 1 defense. And then he would have gone for the strongest, which wouldn't have been Wolverine. It would have been me. So let's give Wolverine the health back.
Yeah.
And then when he attacks me, it takes my 2nd defense off. So actually, I don't take any damage at all. That's much better.
Yes. We need that.
Yeah, so then in terms of me attacking, I don't want. Well, I probably don't know if I need defense or not. Really, I feel like we're doing well in this fight. I'm going to take 1 defense dice. There's no point me having more than 1 attack dice because you can't do more than 1 damage to the hardy guy anyway. So I'm just going to roll these 2, give them a shake, see what we get. Oh, I got 2 defense again. I'm good at rolling that. Oops, let's just grab one of them. 2 defense, there we go, and 1 attack, which is perfect because that will do 1 damage to the hardy kobold, who I think is on 2. Yeah, so he's only got 1 health left. And then it's the Wolverine's go. Now this is interesting because I could actually kill the kobold here. Because he could do 1 damage, or I could kill the peon.
The peon will do will throw an extra die.
Oh, that's right. He's wounded. He's going to do more damage, and he hasn't had a go yet.
No.
So I think Mark's right. The Wolverine. Oh, what's the rules for the movement on the? Oh, where's the sheet's gone? The movement on the Wolverine companions. I'm sure it can move. It can move 2 spaces and doesn't cost Dex. Great. So the Wolverine, if I move that, will it move? Is going to move to here? Yes. But it always flips the die around for some reason.
Yeah.
And then he's going to attack the peon. Peon's got no defense. This is not a dice. Pets are auto damage, so that deals 1 damage to the peon, and the peon dies.
Perfect.
All right, so the purple die comes off, along with him. Yeah, they probably want to go on a discard pile. Did we put the other one under there? Yeah. So that can be the level 1 discard pile. And the dice. All right.
And the house comes off.
And he's dead. That's great. So that was round 2.
Yep.
We go to round 3. And it's blue. The dragon goes again.
Yes.
Ranged. He's going to roll 2 attack dice. It goes for the strongest.
So
I'm on
2
4.
dice.
I think it's me. But I've got 2 defense. So if Mark rolls,
There we go.
he's rolled 2. And that wipes out all of my defense. But that's fine because I still don't take any damage at all. This is going very well, I have to say.
Yep.
It helps having the pets. A big deal.
Yeah, I can appreciate that in a low number of players.
So then
Right
it's you.
It's me to go. So I've got 4 decks. I will be. I mean, I'm not getting attacked. I might as well roll. I take it the firing arm. I can use. Is there a limit to the number of times you can use the firing arm?
Oh, so that dice in theory is now what's called exhausted. So rather than being there, you stick it off to the left of your battle mat, and you can't use that again.
Okay.
So each of these things here are 1 use, effectively.
Well, I'm going to use. I think I'm going to roll a defense die, and then move my my spider bot 3 spaces, so it will attack the dragon.
Usually they move 2 spaces.
Oh, they're limited to.
It's worth checking. Bot movement.
It moved. Cost dex.
It costs Tink's dex. So
Yeah.
every point your bot moves costs you 1 dex.
That's what I mean. So I've got 4 decks. So what I was thinking is just moving it 3 spaces to.
Oh, okay.
Because I'd rather that take them.
And then it can hit the dragon.
Yeah, and then I'll just roll the defense myself because.
Sure.
I guess I'm fairly limited on. Oh.
But you got lots of bones.
Self-destruct.
You can blow your bot up.
Bot hits all adjacent units for 3 damage. I might as well do that.
That would be amazing.
So I'll just do that. So get rid of those. It's going to blow up for 3 damage.
Does it want to do its attack first, maybe?
Is there an order of what those happen? Or is it these?
The bones special abilities can be triggered pretty much whenever you want, I think. I mean, it has to be your turn or your bot's turn. In this case, it's a bot doing the thing, so you can trigger it on the bot's turn. So it can have 1 final swipe and then blow up.
So it does 1 damage, knocks it down to 1.
Yeah.
And then it blows up and does 3 damage.
Yep.
Which gets rid of that.
That's 1 defense gone.
And then 2 off its health.
And I think it only has 2 health. So it's dead.
And then my bot's immediately exhausted, which probably means it's coming off the map.
Yeah, that's right. So you remove all the health, and it goes into your exhausted dice area.
Yeah, but that is... I mean, that's dealt with.
Yeah, that's very good. And it was that one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So
1 point of damage.
Then it's yellow, that's right, who attacks. He's melee, so he will attack me. He rolls 1. Mark, if you fancy rolling an attack die against me.
Yeah, let's go for it. There we are.
That is
sorry.
2. What?
It's a good thing we've won.
These attack dice, they've all got 1s, except for one side, which is 2, and one side, which has the bones on it. So you've got a 1 in 6 chance of getting a 2. And Mark managed to get it, so I lose 2 health. I'm on 2 health left.
Be fine.
Yes, that should be all right. Okay, now it's my go. Revenge. So it doesn't really matter. I haven't been weakened this time. The weakened die goes away. I'll stick that back over there. And I'm going to get to roll 3 of these. So I'll definitely roll 2 attack dice in case I get boned. I want to try and make sure I hit. I may as well roll the defense dice as well. So we'll grab these, give them a roll. And I've got a bone, so that was useless, but I got 2 attack, so that's fine. That is plenty. This guy only has 1 health. So he dies. He goes in the discard pile, and we've killed them all. Hooray! So we have succeeded. So that is 1 round of like 1 combat encounter. All dice just come off the mat at that point and sort of go back in your area. So that goes in the Wolverine area. Any dice you had in backup plans, the bones, just go back. You don't get to save anything. Oh, stick all those back there. And yeah, so all of these ones, for instance, will come back. Mark will have to re-roll this, what would they call attachment dice later.
Yeah,
and all the rest of it. So you just sort of put it back in here for now. And then we resolve the encounter. So in this case, we managed to show Obendal what Gearlocks are made of. We get 1 plus for succeeding. We get 2 training points and a loot and progress. So let's do the progress first. We move 1 space up on the track. Remember, in this scenario, we're trying to get to Shellfist to fight Nom. You can fight longer scenarios, which take you up, winding all these spaces. So the harder bosses take longer to get to, which gives you more time to level up your character. Now, usually we tend to do loot first. So Mark and I each get to take 1 loot card. I picked the top one. We had a sneak peek of that earlier, didn't we? I've got the gadget arm. Now, loot, in theory, goes on. I might try moving my sheet, actually, because I might be able to get it to... If I unlock this, move it down. I know it does this funny thing here, but if I rotate it, I might find everything... Well, that's not even on the map properly, is it? Maybe that's at the proper spot. I just want the stuff to lock in place properly.
Yes.
Now that... Oh, it works now. I've managed to get it in the right spot. Now, I think I had 1 defense there. And, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, that one doesn't work. Oh, well. There we go. See, it actually looks like it's sort of highlighting it. I'm going to lock that again so I don't accidentally move it. But it does look like it should drop in the spot, but not quite. Loot, in theory, goes on the side here. You've got space. You can... It always wants to flip it around the wrong way. You've got space to have up to 4 pieces of loot. But there's a special space at the top for unlocking trove loot if we ever get around to that. So what does my gadget arm do? It has 2 uses. After the first use, you rotate it. So I would rotate it to here, and that would indicate it's had 1 use, and then I just discard it once it's had its 2nd use. So if a training attempt fails, you can make another attempt. So that's, if you remember when we were leveling up, and I had to roll the defense dice to get my defense. If you fail it, then this one lets you make another attempt. Yeah, so if I'd failed for the second time for the defense dice, I could have rolled again. This is particularly helpful when rolling attack or defense dice because the attack dice, you only get one chance to pass. In fact, I think I've got the rules slightly wrong on that. I will give you a slight correction on that because I'm going to increase one of those in a second. All right, so that was my loot. What did you get, Mark?
I got this thing.
Fortunate discovery. Okay, this is a kind of a general thing which you can use to get like consumable things for your character, the yellow stuff. So Mark has two potential consumables here.
Yeah.
So we can go straight for his Spiderbot 3, I think. Yeah.
It's a consumable, so it might be worth it in a...
Yes. So it's a kind of one-use bot, but it's super powerful. Right, so that was our loot. We then get, as I say, 2 training points. So now we decide how to level up. Now, the rule that I got wrong earlier, I've just realised, is when you're upgrading attack or defence, you roll your current attack or defence stat to see whether or not you pass. So when I had a defence of 0, I should have rolled 0 defence dice, and if I rolled a bone, I fail. With my attack stat, because I've got a current stat of 2, I would take 2 dice, I would roll them, and if I get any bones at all, if one of these turned out to be a bone like that, then I would fail. So you have to not get any bones. So as you get a higher attack stat, it becomes harder and harder to level it up. That's what makes the gadget arm particularly useful because you can get another go, potentially 2 uses, so 2 goes, to upgrade that stat. So I've got some upgrades here that will upgrade Wolverine, so I could do that. The advice for Gilly is traps can be quite useful. Yeah, nice trap debuff. Big damage is always good. I'm going to ignore the traps, I think, for now. A lot of these trap things. The multi-arrow bruise buster, notice these have to be done in order. The arrow in the middle here means you can't get brute buster until you get multi-arrow. Piercing arrow you can get fine by itself. Return fire you can get fine by itself, but in the zone you'd have to have this one first. So if we have a look at our dice, the multi-arrow, this is this one over here, is, if I find the symbol, here we go, multi-arrow. Certain number of your attack dice also hit a second baddie of your choice, so effectively it does twice the damage. Yep, you fire the one arrow, it shoots out and hits 2 people doing damage on both of them, so that's pretty good. And the Brute Buster, the next thing, I think is designed for doing lots of damage. I have to find the right side of the dice. So this is the Brute Buster. I think that's the one that moves them, actually. The Brute Buster die. Yeah, so that one is going to move. If I find the right, there we go, displace. Move anybody 1 position. So that's okay. But the marked enemy, this side here, damage times 2, is fairly self-explanatory. I can't see it on the sheet. There we go, it's there, marked. Stick on a buddy, it takes 2 times damage from all attack dice this turn or the next time it's attacked. So you can double the amount of damage you do. So that one's amazing. So I would kind of aim, I think, for trying to upgrade on this slot here. I'm not going to worry about buffing my pet anymore. The Wolverine's already quite nice. But I am going to try and increase my attack stat. One thing Gilly is very good at is just doing lots of damage. So I'm going to roll my 2 dice for real now and try and upgrade my attack stat. I need to get no bones. I only get 1 go at this. And I've succeeded. Hooray. If I did fail, I could have used my gadget arm, obviously. But because I passed, I don't need to. That's brilliant. So I take another of these kind of counter dice here. See if it drops in the slot. Nope. Almost. And I get 1 attack die. Now for my second training point, I could try and get another one. Now this is obviously quite unlikely because I'm going to be rolling 3 dice here. But I've got my gadget arm. Hitting for 4, no, hang on, I've seen an issue. I've only got 3 decks. That means, you know, even if I had 4 attack dice, I couldn't roll them because I've only got 3 decks. So what I think I will spend my second point on is not getting one of these skill dice, but just increasing my decks. Gilly does need quite a bit of decks. So, whoop, no, 3 plus 1, almost, makes 4. So now my dex is 4. All right, Mark, what did you go for?
I've got 2 to spend. I'm thinking, is it looking at it advises to increase your dex, but I'm wondering whether to increase the spider bot.
You're going to try and get the spider bot 2?
Yes. just so it does more damage.
Yeah, that's good. If we look at the sides,
they've all got quite a lot of health.
Spiderbot do 2's got more health and does 2 damage with every hit. That is very nice.
So maybe that and then a dex, so I can.
Let's just say, if you've already, you don't have that many attachments, you probably don't need as much dex for the moment.
No. Maybe I'm certainly up. So second Spiderbot. Well, number 2 Spiderbot anyway. Spend it on damage. Sorry, on defense maybe. I've got quite a lot of dex.
I got it in.
What would your advice be? Go for. They advise dex, but I'm not sure I'm going to be doing enough with the dex.
Honestly, I'd go for attack.
And just do more damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we do lots of damage, you can kind of burn down the difficult enemies quickly, and then you tend to do quite well.
Okay, so I need to roll.
So it's an attack die.
Okay.
And because your current attack stat is 1, you roll 1 die, and if you get a bone, you fail. Otherwise, you succeed, and your attack stat goes up by 1.
So I can put that into there, and then that's right.
Yep.
And then just reset the hole. Anyway. Yeah.
That'll do.
Yes.
All right. So as you can see, if you're watching and trying to learn, this is the kind of game you're going to be interested in. Upgrading your character is tremendously complicated. There's all sorts of different options. And if we were to play through the entire scenario, do all the various missions and go over and kill the boss, you would never unlock all these dice. You wouldn't even get close. You'd be lucky to maybe get half of your dice unlocked on one of the longer scenarios. So it means that each time you play the game, you can go down a particularly different set of options in terms of what dice you unlock and what you do. I'm kind of going for lots of attack. But you could go down a trap route and try and set lots of traps for baddies. And as you can see, lots of options, lots of different choices here. It's really interesting once you get into it, deciding how you want to upgrade each time you play. Right, let me just do a time check. It is 9:15 as we are playing on Friday evening. So are we up for doing another encounter?
Yeah, I reckon we go as far as another counter. Try to get another fight on the battle map, and then we'll do it that far. But it's...
In theory, we are hovering just shy of the Cibron River here, and the next stage is for us to cross the river. Okay. So let's stick that one on the discard pile and have a look. Crossing the Cibron. The Cibron River, a glistening vein of trade running the length of Daylor, playfully beckons as it shimmers in the daylight up ahead. But with so few bridges in these parts, this crossing is an obvious spot for enemy scouts and traps. A journey of this importance leaves only 2 options. Tucking the ears and trying to blend in is risky, but efficient. A boat at dusk carries less chance of discovery, but requires business with the Molnor, a trading syndicate with their own set of drawbacks, let's say. All right, so we have to make a choice. Oh, no, flip. There we go. So we can tuck in our ears and walk like a commoner. We will get 1 progress on the quest. Yeah, this is to try and get up to the boss. Incidentally, this particular boss has a certain target number. So you have 8 days in which to complete this. Otherwise, you sort of fail the quest. So we... oh, I've just realised we forgot to do the end of day stuff for day 2. So let's backtrack slightly. The first thing you get to do is trade loot. I don't think we need to do that. Then we don't have any loot that needs lockpicking. No. So you can recover to full health if you're not at full health. And I think I am not at full health, am I?
Nor will I.
I lost health. So because I'm only at 2 health, I'm going to recover 2 health to get me back up to full health. Full health. Great. Let's stick that on there. All right, and then in theory, I should plonk him back on my battle mat, on my character sheet rather. So if you get the real game, in real life, then these mats are nice neoprene mats, like mouse mat material, and they're really, really nice. Quality of this game is very high. So yes, I have done my end of day option, healing to full.
And I heal as well because, yeah.
Then we go to day 3.
Yep.
And then we draw the card. So yes, this will get us 2 progress, and we have to get to Shalefist before day. Where is it? Before day 8. Okay, we're currently on 3 of 8. So there is a time limit to this. You can't faff about failing quests too much.
Yeah.
This would also get us a training point. The bottom option here gets us a purple loot. That is a trove loot. That is like a super special loot up here, which requires you to lockpick it in order to open it. In terms of what we have to do to get these things, though, for the first one, we roll a d6 for each party member. On a 1 or 2, we're spotted, and we find the first tyrant encounter in your deck and stick it on top. Some of the encounters in this encounter deck are sort of blue cards, which represent tyrant encounters, and they can be particularly bad. So we'd end up fighting the tyrant much sooner than we wanted to, if that happened. Or we can hire the Molnor. The Molnor are surprisingly easy to work with. Not only do they drop us safely to the east bank of the river under the cover of darkness, they also offer some free loot. Maybe our success is good for business? Now, if you do this, you end up shuffling the Molnor Traders special encounter into your encounter deck here, and they turn up again later. And you kind of owe them a favour at that point, and it's not necessarily very good. So which option do you like?
I almost always say go for the one that gives you training points, but a 1 or 2 is quite likely.
Yeah. I'd be inclined to go for that one.
Take the risk.
I'd rather stay clear of the Molnor, personally.
Okay. Well,
so, do you want to roll first?
Yeah,
so anything but a 1 or 2?
I'm using my dice roller.
I think roughly. Oh my goodness, where did that go?
It's a 6.
He got a 6. Hooray! So these things here, like, ping the dice out. Apparently, You just drop it on, do you?
Yeah.
All right. So, anything but a 1 or a 2.
Anything but a 1 or 2.
Ping. Where did it go?
It's a 5.
5. Okay. So we both passed. Hooray!
Yes.
So let's move that out of the way. That means encounter success is achieved no matter the outcome. Excellent. We don't have to do that. We weren't spotted. We get a training point and 1 progress. And then no matter which option you pick, you get the progress at the bottom. So we're actually going to get 2 progress. So we're going to go 1 and then 2 to there. We're making very good progress. And a training point. Feels easy almost. Right.
We'll see
well, I do have 4 decks. I'm quite tempted to try and get the 4 attack for that turn when you really want to hit hard. I'm going to try it. So I've got to roll 3 attack dice now and not get any bones. This is one kind of strategy. You can just build up and have massive amounts of attack dice. So I failed, but I'm going to spend my gadget arm and try and pass. So I've used it once. I get to roll the dice again. Come on, come on. Yes! I have passed. Okay, that's great. So my attack stat now goes up to 2 plus 2 is 4. So that is very satisfying. It's obviously tricky. I won't be able to roll 4 attack dice at the start because I need to get my pet out and things. But maybe once I've got a bit of defense and my pet is out tanking, I'll be able to spend all my 4 decks rolling my 4 attack dice. I don't need decks for moving generally because I'm a ranged character, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so that was the end of day 3.
I think I might go for an attack as well.
Oh, Mark's getting more attack. Okay, yep. So he has to roll his dice.
So there we go. Fire off.
Good goodness, where do they go?
Oh, no.
There they go.
Oh,
yeah, very nice.
And it goes up to 2, and then doesn't. Yeah, it lives about there. Right.
Okay. Well, we don't have a lot of defense, but that's what the pets are for.
Yes. That's my thinking.
End of day stuff. Trade loot, we don't need to do that. No lockpicking because we didn't take the trove loot.
No.
We don't need to rest and recover because we're on full hit points already. I don't think I want to search for better loot. I quite like the loot I've got. And scout the area. So we get to do more scouting. So if you roll the d6, yeah. It's funny, this die rolling thing. 2. So that is a 1 point baddie you get to scout. Let me try and tidy this up while you're doing that.
Oh, I'm rotating the entire lot. I mean, F. Click the top one. It's a thick skin one and careless troll romper.
Okay, thick skin is not good. it basically ignores the first 1 damage you do every time. So if you do 1 damage to it, it doesn't take any damage. If you do 3 damage, it would only take 2 damage. It just always absorbs 1 damage. Careless is great, though. When it's attacking, if it rolls a bone, it does 1 damage to itself.
And that ignores its own thick skin.
Yeah. So it will sort of accidentally whack it. So I think that one's fine. It doesn't hit very hard. And if he's careless, we'll actually be able to kill him fairly quickly.
So there's the die for you.
Great. Now, where's it gone?
It's there. So it's
oh, yeah, got it. Okay, I'm going to try. There is another dice rolling thing over here. I'm going to try this one and see. Let me just zoom out a bit because it does really catapult it. Boing. It's a 3. Oh, I was really hoping to be able to scout out the 5.1.
Yes.
But never mind. So that's going to be the first one we get. So let's have a look at this one. It is a troll brute who's also careless. Trolls in general tend to be careless. And he's also thick-skinned. They're both very slow, though, 1 and 2. 3 health is not much. I think this is fine. That, incidentally, should say thick skin 1. I think on the first printing they missed off the 1 on that one. So, are you happy with that one, Mark?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right, so they'll be in that order. Put them on top. And then we go on to the next day. So we're not necessarily having a fight, but if we do have a fight, that will be coming up. All right, so we're on day 4. That goes away. Let's get rid of the die off the top. And we do the next encounter. So, our ducks in a row. Yeah, we can do this. All right, some of these encounters are a bit weird. All right, the Barrens attracts all types of reclusives, wackos, outlaws, and illegal entrepreneurs. Coming across a rickety homestead, it's anyone's guess what you'll find. And if an opportunity should arise to gain an advantage in the coming battles, well, who's to say what passes a noble or useful side quest? With said shack just ahead, it looks like we'll have a chance to find out what such an opportunity holds. From a distance, it seems like a harmless farm of sorts. But we Gearlocks know to never trust first impressions, especially this far north. All right, let me just pull that out so we can flip it. Okay. So, help a farmer in need, kill those rats. There is only one option here, so we don't really get a choice. Not a very epic task, but no story is complete without a quest to clear out rats in a basement. Yes. So we'll get a training point and progress on the quest. And then this explains the rules for this rather bizarre little quest. Excuse me. So the number of rats we have to face is party size +1. So we can have 3 rats. Roll a d6 for each rat to decide its hit points. Mark, do you want to do that?
Yep.
Effectively, we're going to have stacks of hit points on here representing the rats. So this will not be a conventional battle at all, but it'll be a battle of sorts. The hit points go on the battle mat in melee positions 1 to 4, and if we ran out, it'd be range. So they're going to go in melee spots 1, 2, and 3. So 1 first, then 2, then 3. Gearlocks go in our starting positions. We now have 1 round to deal as much damage to as many rats as we can. That's good. I'm good at dealing damage. If your party defeats at least all but 1 rat, you succeed. Least all but 1 rat. So if there are 2 or more rats left, you've lost, I think is what that means. So if you kill all but 1, or you kill all of the rats, then you succeed. Fine, so this is just a bit of target practice. We're going to try and hit some damage, hit some rats. You're rolling quite high though here, Mark. We want low numbers for some of these. One interesting question is whether or not we should try getting our pets out. The Wolverine's great for tanking, but I don't really want to tank. I need to do damage here. 3 4s was that?
That's 3 4s.
Well, at least you're consistent. So I'm going to take my stack and stick it there, I guess. I don't suppose it really matters. We still roll our dice. In fact, no, I don't think we need to roll dice because we just each take a turn and do as much damage as we can. So we don't even need to roll the initiative dice. I'll stick that back there. So, do you want to go first?
I can start next to it. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Oh, do we need how many? Oh, we need one more, don't we? Sorry. One more rat.
It's no, three. 3 rats, it should be.
Oh.
Party size plus 1.
Okay, sorry. Then. Right then. So I need to roll my person dice. I get a 3. Oh, no, you don't.
You don't actually need to do that.
No.
This is going to be hard, I think, for us to do. I mean, I can roll my 4 attack dice and try and take out one of them. But because of the health of the rats, this is going to be really tricky. Can you take out 1 rat by yourself, is the question.
I've just been disconnected. But I'll reconnect.
Oh, from Tabletop Simulator?
Yeah, just said you've just been disconnected from...
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you'll reappear at some point.
Now, the danger with mine, if I perhaps just talk through mine, is these attack dice, as I say, have got... Oh, I've been disconnected as well. Oh, no.
Have a Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, no.
I
think we may have lost it all. Well, that's frustrating, isn't it? Well, let me see if I can switch back to us. I think we might have to call it a day there because if we try and load it again, we'll have to go through all the setup again. It would take quite a long time. You'd be spending like 15-20 minutes just watching us setting up the game again before we manage to get going. But hopefully that gives you a good overview of Too Many Bones and how it works. You can see some scenarios just provide you with interesting choices. Do you want to get loot? Do you want to get the leveling up? We normally tend to go for the leveling up. Some choices give you some weird little side quests, like the rat thing. We each get 1 go, and we just try and do as much damage as we can. I just really want to roll my 4 attack dice to see if I can get the 4 damage. Because one of those sides has got 2 damage on it, but obviously one of the sides has got a bone. So on average, you're going to get 1 damage. If you're lucky, you can get more. If you're unlucky, you can get less. But yes, I just wanted to kill my 1 rat. But obviously, a lot of the scenarios do involve you then having a fight. And as you can see, going through the rounds with the order in which the different creatures act, the various special abilities, it's quite important to keep track of those. But it can be quite hard to keep track of at first because there's so much to bear in mind. But that is, you're going to spend quite a lot of time in the game fighting those kind of battles. But I don't know what you think, Mark. I find those really satisfying.
Yeah, it's very good. The leveling up, I said, the tactical battle is quite tactical. I think you got the idea from that. Even in the easiest, like first level one, you have to think constantly how to beat it, and they just get tougher and tougher. Yeah.
I remember the first time I played it, you kind of go out and you're like, yeah, let's try this. I'll just move this character here and try hitting that. And then suddenly you just get beaten on really badly because you just don't realise how some of the special abilities work, whether they target the strongest or the weakest character, whether some of them can target more than 1 character at once. Things like that make a big difference. So there's a lot to think about in those combat situations.
Yeah, it's very good. There isn't a huge amount of things quite like it, I don't think.
No. In terms of heavy, thinky combat in a dungeon crawl, no, there aren't many like that. But then I suppose the other thing, as you always say, that has it going for it is the leveling up system, isn't it?
Yeah.
And although you have crazy amounts of choice, it's just so satisfying going through, oh, maybe this time I'll go down this route and take this upgrade.
The characters are all very different too.
Yeah. And playing with the rest of your party is quite important. Like if one of the characters is a tank, then you don't really need a character like my Wolverine pet. I can go for something that does damage. Or I've got there's one flying bird creature that every other round it sort of flies up into the air and it can't get hit. So it's very good at distracting. Even though it doesn't necessarily do a lot of damage, it can distract sort of tough baddies in that sense, getting to move around the map. So yeah, it's quite nice. Incidentally, if we were to continue and to sort of get enough progress points, you then have one final fight against the boss. The boss has a couple of special abilities. You're fighting a pile of other creatures as well, along with the boss. In Nom's case, he has this thunder club, and every time he hits you, he whacks you across to the furthest corner of the map. So if you're a melee character, it's a really tough fight because you spend all your decks running across the map, and then he just whacks you back across to the other side again. So it is also, I've played the game solo, and it's a very enjoyable solo game because there is so much to think about. It's always very engaging. You can spend hours and hours playing this game and be engrossed throughout all of it. So I'd highly recommend it if you like those sort of heavier, thinkier games with theme. I mean, as you can see with the encounters, sort of reading out the various quests, there is quite a bit of theme on the game, which holds together well, I think. Any other thoughts, Mark?
No, obviously it's a lot easier to play in real life.
Yeah.
I think the tabletop simulator is probably not the ideal place to play it because it is too fiddly, and it is with all the stacks of chips. It's I wouldn't say it's ever a quick game, but I'm sure knowledgeable players can probably get the short ones in a couple of hours. It is on the longer side, so I bet once you go to the full length ones, it can take quite a while. In fact,
I tend to set those up, play for a couple of hours on one evening, leave it, come back and finish it off the next evening because yeah, it does take a long time. That's definitely right.
Yes, it's not exactly a game you can put away.
No.
All the dice and stuff, it'd be quite tricky.
As we've discovered when Tabletop Simulator crashes.
Yes.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Do let us know if there's anything in particular, any other games you'd like us to cover. We picked this one partly because we just spotted it was on Tabletop Simulator and because we're both big fans of the game and just wanted to see how it would play. So obviously, if you've got Tabletop Simulator, you can try it out. We got this from the workshop, so it's free. Once you've bought the base package of Tabletop Simulator, there's no extra price to pay to get the Too Many Bones add-ons. There's a couple of them available there, but they both seem to be very well done. All right, well, thanks very much for watching. We will see you next time.
Good.
Bye.